Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Dell XPS 15 7590. This is the new refresh for 2019 with the 9th gen CPUs and the GTX 1650. It's a very popular laptop, and admittedly, I didn't like it when I first reviewed the previous 9570, but I thought long and hard about this one because surely there's a reason why so many people love it despite its price and its thermal issues, right? And I think I got it. So let's go through the laptop one by one, and then I'll talk about who I think this laptop is for and who should look elsewhere, because it's not great at everything. There are definitely limitations to what this laptop can do. So let's start with build quality first. It's a very well built laptop, and not just that, but it feels great as well. There's absolutely no flex on the keyboard deck or the screen assembly, and the palm rest area is finished in this silicone carbon fiber finish. It does an excellent job at hiding oil despite being black, and it's nice having something soft to rest your hands on while typing for long periods of time. The hinge is still tuned very tight like the previous generation, but the reason is because it minimizes screen wobble for the optional touchscreen. They're offering a bunch of different screen options, so the default and the one that I would recommend to most people is the 1080p IPS. There's also a 4K IPS non-touchscreen, a 4K IPS with touchscreen, and a 4K OLED with touch support. The OLED is rated for 400 nits, and the rest of them are rated for 500 nits of brightness, the same as the MacBook Pros. Now, I find it strange that Dell rates the OLED panel at 400 nits because it should be using the same panel as everyone else, and the one that I measured on the Blade 15 came in at 530 nits average with a peak of 600. The panel that I'm reviewing here is the 4K IPS with touch. It's literally the brightest laptop screen by a long shot. It's got 630 nits of brightness. That's brighter than the peak brightness of the OLED panel. Color gamut is excellent, same with color accuracy, great viewing angles, over 1500 to 1 contrast ratio, same as the MacBook Pro. It is quite simply the best screen that you can get for content creation on a laptop. The speakers on this haven't really changed though. They still fire downward. They're loud, but downward firing speakers inherently lose detail and clarity because you're bouncing the sound off of like the desk, right? There's still no subwoofer. I really wish they'd make use of all that empty space beside the keyboard for the speakers because that would really seal the deal on the media consumption aspect of it. They are good if you need to use them for like watching a YouTube video or whatever, but I've heard much better. The keyboard is actually really good, and I initially disliked it because of the small keycaps, which made it a little bit harder to hit, but as I got used to it after typing for a couple days, this is a really good keyboard. Key truffle is good, the response from the switches is also good, great layout with media keys on the function row, unlike the XPS 13 where they put the brightness controls on like the arrow keys. That doesn't make any sense. It's got 3-stage white LED backlighting. I didn't really find any issues while coding or gaming. There's also a fingerprint sensor built into the power button. Nice touch. After having tried out a bunch of different Windows laptops, I can now say that this trackpad is among one of the very best that I've tried for a Windows laptop. It's got Windows precision drivers, tracking is very accurate, excellent actuation force, it doesn't tire out my fingers after clicking too many times, and the response from it is sharp and crisp. It's a little bit loud, but that's the only complaint that I got. For ports, you have your power, USB 3, HDMI, Thunderbolt 3, and a headphone jack. On the right, you have a second USB 3 and a full-size SD slot. Getting inside the XPS 15 requires a Torx T5 and a Phillips screwdriver for the 2 screws under the XPS flap. And once you're inside, you'll find the CPU and the GPU, your 2 sticks of RAM, a single M.2 slot, and your upgradable killer AX1650 Wi-Fi card for Wi-Fi 6. The heatsink now covers the VRMs, but it still only has 2 thin and small heat pipes going to 2 small fans. And because of this, the thermals are still severely lacking compared to almost every other laptop. The Razer Blade, the MSI GS65, Lenovo Y740, these are all thin and light 15-inch gaming laptops packing the same 6-core CPU with RTX 2080s, and they don't throttle. Granted, they will usually sit in the low to mid 90s while turbo boosting to 4 GHz, but the XPS 15 maintains 100 degrees while boosting only to 3.5 GHz under the same workload. Extended heavy loads are not ideal for this laptop. Now, you can game on it, you can edit 4K videos, you can compile code, but gaming laptops like the Razer Blade 15 are really nice even for just normal use for like a student, for example. Clean design, great trackpad, they're not gimped everywhere else for the sake of performance like they were just a few years ago. So if you need a well-built, thin and light high performance laptop that's also good at being an everyday laptop, just know that this isn't the only option. Gaming laptops are getting really good now. Fan noise can be controlled using fan profiles, but they don't actually give you manual fan control to crank them before running a heavy program. Under a heavy load, the fans aren't actually all that loud. They're about the same as a MacBook Pro. There's a massive 97 watt-hour battery inside that will get you about 8 hours of battery life, more if you go with the 1080p screen, and this is one of the biggest advantages it has to thin and light gaming laptops like the Razer Blade 15 that will max out at around 80 watt-hours with 6 to 7 hours of battery life at the top end. This battery is a full workday, meaning you don't have to bring your charger with you. Now, you can bring your charger with you. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining if they have to bring their charger, but if you don't have a wall outlet, like if you're in a lecture hall, you're kind of out of luck. Okay, so who is this laptop meant for? For content creators, the screen is huge, and the performance I'm not going to weigh too heavily because the actual editing process doesn't max the CPU nonstop. Same with photo editing, it's just a bunch of short bursts. It's not going to throttle, and the screen outweighs the performance penalty in real world use compared to something like a Razer Blade 15. For coding, it's also quite good and unique. The base model comes with a quad-core i5 with integrated graphics, and depending on what you're coding, you might not need dedicated graphics. You get a nice keyboard, all-day battery life, it's faster than an Ultrabook at compiling with the 45-watt CPU. The only thing that I've done on this that I absolutely could not do would be machine learning with large data sets. It exceeded the 4 gigs of VRAM on the GTX 1650, so it just didn't work at all, and you benefit a lot from the tensor cores in the RTX GPUs. And for people that just want a 15-inch laptop without all the horsepower, with great build quality, great screen, keyboard, trackpad, all-day battery life without selling their soul, the base XPS 15 starts at $1,100 or $970 on sale right now. There's one other laptop that's very similar to this, and that's the MSI PS63 Modern. That laptop pulls even more battery life, and it's noticeably thinner and lighter. But the XPS 15 has a faster CPU, upgradability, and a much better screen. And personally, I like the XPS 15 a little bit more because of that screen and the fact that I can put in a 1TB NVMe SSD myself for like $90. The upgradability is a big factor for me now that SSDs are getting really cheap. Okay, that is the end of this video. I hope you liked it, and I will see you guys next time.